What's going on? What's going on, guys? This is Manuel Godoy, Black Sands, and today we're going to be talking with Teunis Raat. He is the man in charge. All right, so this is going to be pretty fun. This is the first time we're using this platform, StreamYards or whatever. So let me know if the audio is good in the comments section. All right. Now, I see a couple of my patrons in here right now. Will Tarver, one of my patrons. He said, I know you guys always around. And then we have we about to start it up. So first of all, I'm in charge of story, right? So Manuel Godoy, I'm in charge of the story of Black Sands, right? However, that's my responsibility. But when it comes to animation, right, it really was something that was kind of like a void in my production. I just really didn't have anything like to offer in animation, right? Looking for animators, looking for this, it just wasn't prepared. So when Teunis talked to me about, I'd say 6 months ago, right? He said, look, I'm sick and tired of making the same kind of films, and I want to get into something that's going to be different, that has its own targeted audience, that we could really grow. So without further ado, I'm gonna let Teunis introduce himself, and then we can get to going on.
Thanks, Manuel. Yeah, just saying hi to everybody. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Yeah, so when I saw Black Sands, I was turned on to it by my wife, and I saw what Manuel was doing. I just got really excited because I saw the potential of the content to like really grow into the anime space. And, it's such an obvious transition, right, from the manga to the anime. And for myself, I've been working in animation now for about 25 years. I got started in visual effects and animation back in the mid 90s. And I've been working on a lot of different films, doing different stuff like with Disney, with Pixar, with the studio I was at just prior. And, for me, jumping onto a project, something had to be really meaningful. And for me, what Manuel was building with Black Sands and the 3 IPs that he's developed with Black Sands, with Cosmic Girls, and with Maury's Family Adventures, to me, I just saw something that had so much potential for growth and like an explosion of brand, within that space. And, to me, it was just like, no brainer. So I just talked to Manuel. I was like, hey, man, we got to do something together. I can bring to the table my experience as, an animator, as someone that's been in this business a long time, that understands, the production side of it, like how to actually execute it and get it done. And, from my side, like we're just such a great match because Manuel, like, you bring so much to the table, like in terms of driving audience and building an audience and a community around this around this brand. And for me, I'm like, this is amazing, because that's what a lot of times when you go out in the world and you seek distributors, that's what you're getting from them, is they're bringing an audience to you. But with Manuel, he's bringing the audience with him already. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to produce like the sickest, most beautiful anime content based on Black Sands, and it's just going to be amazing. It's going to be beautiful.
Yeah. Well, one thing is, I can't take credit for what happened. I can't believe how much the audience reacted to the freaking priced round on WeFunder. Like, it was 3 weeks. It was 3 weeks to raise $500,000. Ain't nobody in this community even come close to making that kind of movement in this space. And I think it's not only that, I happen to be a decent creator of content, but it's also the fact that these people for years have been supporting their own kids, their families' kids, this local school, whatever. They just been out there taking action as much as possible to get this to grow. And, once they had their opportunity to go and actually grab a piece, they didn't wait. And I'm actually pretty happy now that I'm accountable to 1,500 new investors. Like that's pretty dope that 1,500 people are actually a part of this ride now. And that, if we massively succeed, then they'll be massively successful. with their own shares, and I think that's very important. You said one thing that I want to talk about with you specifically is that you've actually had a lot of experience with the human resources side of animation and also budgeting, right? That's something that your actual like expertise is in.
Yeah, well, I've worked as an artist, but also like working alongside the producers in terms of establishing the bids. So whenever you're like building an asset, like you say, okay, I need to make this model, or I need to figure out how many seconds a week an animator can produce, to get a certain quality of shot. So through that process, that's all bidding, and you figure out like, hey, how much is this going to cost? How much is that going to cost? And then you also at that moment you basically do a structured analysis of your staff. So you figure out how many leads you need, how many juniors you need, what kind of expertise you need in each role to fulfill their part of the production and on that journey. And part of that is basically once you've got the bidding done, then that's when you build out the budget and you build out the schedule. And, it's not an exact science because sometimes when you have things happening upstream, like creatively, like there's changes or whatever have you, things kind of, you sometimes have to make adjustments. But for the most part, it's a little bit of a fuzzy science, but it's still a science, and you're able to get to the, what the cost is going to be per episode. And it's tunable. So like you make certain choices creatively and you can say, okay, I can give a little here to get a little there, and that's how you apply that logic to get the right result.
Yeah, one thing that we're going to be doing is one thing I said when Teunis was building out the team, right? And we actually got some people on the team right now currently working on the production. But one of the things that I told him to do was make sure this feels like a show. All right, this is a show for our patrons, our YouTube, and our investors. The reason why is because people want to know how are they going to be able to do this one day. I have a lot of creators who are following me, and they have no clue what it really takes to go into animation. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be having these videos, testimonies, work behind the scenes, Q&A, and all that stuff. We're going to be having that so that people have access to the actual production. I feel like that's super important for our community in general, so they can eventually pull it off themselves, right? And it's also, pretty entertaining in general, right? Like people want to see what's really going on behind the scenes, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
no,
so one thing I wanted to say to the audience is in about 15 minutes, I'm going to open up the comment section to questions. We're just going to be asking. We're going to let people ask questions, and we're going to take them, and then we're going to answer them from there. So that's going to be happening in about 15 minutes. We're still going to be talking about the production right now, and we're going to be going through it. So with our production of Black Sands, what we're planning on doing is basically making a pilot, right? And it's going to be roughly around 5 minutes long, where the emphasis of it is going to be the fight between Bess and Asar. Now, Bess and Asar, Bess is probably going to stay exactly the same age-wise because he's already aged up, right? But Asar is going to be older a bit. Everybody in the cast is going to be a little bit older. The reason for that is because Black Sands in general is going to be more aged up, right? It's going to feel a little bit more serious than it was in the comics. And that's pretty cool. During this fight, we're going to be having a lot of scenes that are going to be going back into like the past or scenes before that. We're going to try to bring a lot of like storyline, but we don't want to freaking slow the thing down so much that it basically feels like there's an act 1, act 2, and act 3. We want to basically get everything into this short, piece. And Teunis can get into a little bit more of the details of that, and I'm gonna let him shoot at that.
Yeah, sure. So part of our strategy with the development phase of this project is to really visually showcase what we're going to be producing when it comes to the series. So that means that we want that short to have the tone of the series, and we want it to have, the production quality, and also like a tease and a hint at the story and, the overall character arcs that Asar is going to be going on his journey, like as he has this coming of age story. And the purpose of the short, we want to keep it, part of it is obviously for, development of the show and figuring out like what our tone is and how how it's all going to look and feel. But another big part of it is for the financing round. So this becomes part of a whole pitch package, along with the episode scripts, along with our budgets, along with our projected schedules. And when we have that short, we can take it out there and we can enter it into festivals and we can release it and get some critical acclaim built up around it. Now, on the one hand, we really want, and love to have that critical acclaim. But on the other hand, we don't care. Like, on the other hand, what we care about is what the community thinks about this short. What we care about is what our audience cares about. So the whole short, the whole point of it is to really, be a product for our audience, like something that, our audience wants and craves. And we're going to make sure that it hits on all those notes. Manuel has complete creative oversight on this project. Like nothing goes by without his say so. He's absolutely, the creator, writer on the project. And I'm very committed to making sure that that vision is executed to the best possible ability and at the, best budget point possible. And I know quality. I've worked quality all my life. And, for me, I know exactly how these studios waste money, and we're not going to do that. We're going to be like really spending every dime so carefully to make sure that all of it ends up on the screen, and that this is really like a project that we're going to be super duper proud of.
Yeah. And one thing I definitely want to talk to, a lot of people will be talking about like, hey, how do I become a voice actor? How do I become an animator? I always say the answer to that is when we are looking for mass recruitment. Right now, we're not looking for mass recruitment, right? Teams are small because the production is not that big. We don't have that much money yet, right? So we're gonna be looking for people that we know can kill a specific position and then leave them be. We can't do any experimenting at this point. With that being said, voice acting is a little bit of a wild west, right? We don't really know who's going to be locking down certain roles, all right? Except for Malcolm X-Ray. He got a Petamock. That guy's not going anywhere. He got a Petamock. But as far as everybody else, it's up for grabs. We don't know how many people can actually be in Black Sands for the pilot who's going to actually be talking, right? So we don't know which roles are going to be in there yet. The same thing goes for Maury's Family Adventures and Cosmic Girls, right? They're all going to need voice actors as well. They might need some animators. We don't know. But when we do have positions and we're having trouble fulfilling those spots, that's when we're going to be looking at the community first for anybody who's qualified. If you're qualified, you're most likely getting in. It's just the way it is, because we don't have a problem with it. I personally believe that you guys will probably take a pay cut to work with us just because of the movement of it itself. So I have no problem with that. You just got to be qualified. Remember, Malcolm X-Ray, Hunter Scott, those two right there have been fans for years, and then they became Raw and Petamock, the actual voice actors, and they've been locking down those positions ever since, and they're really damn good at it. Every time we play their videos, somebody says, damn, those are some amazing voice actors, and I'm like, yeah, them two are bad. There's some bad dudes right there. So there's definitely opportunities. There's always been opportunities in our company, and just wait for it. It's coming. Always keep an eye on our Instagram. That's basically where we do all of our recruitment. You know what I mean? So with that being said, let's go on to what we're planning on doing with Cosmic Girls and Maury's Family Adventures. What's going on with those?
Well, on those two, we're going to do full pilots for both.
Okay.
So for Maury's Family Adventure, we're still going to be chatting a little bit about the creative, like how we're going to pull that pilot together. So that's something that we're still on the discussion phase of. But it's going to be 3D animated pilot, and there's some other elements of it we haven't fully discussed yet. But I think that particular project really lends itself to a crossover production that can have real good educational implications. So making inroads in the educational community, and there's so much that we can do with that show, like on that front. And then on Cosmic Girls, that's going to be just really straight up fun. Like that's just going to be like a fun, action-packed, really funny and sharp-witted show. And I think that one's just, going to be straight ahead, like animated 2D pilot. So for that particular show, we're probably going to look at existing studios that exist around the world and like see who we can work with on that front, where we would handle all the editorial and creative and production design on our end. But then for the actual meat and potatoes, grinding the work out, that probably is going to happen with some vendor, studio overseas, depending. We'll see. You got to look around and get price points and everything.
Yeah, and one of the things is the original artist, which a lot of you guys probably know, Joshua Bullock, aka Sky Legends. He is going to be doing all the concept design for that, right? And a little bit of the managerial stuff for Cosmic Girls, all right? That was originally his co-production with me, right? He was the artist that did the work with me, created all the character designs and stuff like that. So it's only right that he handles that. He's also an animator by trade. He's actually a comic artist, as his side, as something that he's moving into. But he's always been an animator, so we got good hands going on that. So Joshua Bullock, he's definitely handling that. He's looking at it right now, working on it, and that's always cool. So we got over basically the development slates of what we're doing. By the way, how long do you think it's going to be before we actually get all three of these bad boys out? Now that we actually have money coming in.
Yeah, well, I mean, that fundraising round was amazing, and now that we've got a development bucket, like some funds to actually move, fast on these things, I think we're probably looking at like mid to late summer, for these things to land. I have to work out the details and the schedule, but I do think that's a good target.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I can't see it. I don't believe it. What do you think, Giselle? I don't believe it. Hey, don't hold me on any of that. Everybody in this room, I'm putting a disclaimer out saying mid to late summer sounds a little ridiculous for me because that's like right around the corner. So I don't see how the hell that's going to happen. But maybe he knows something I don't. He's been doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes as far as contacting people and stuff. So I don't know. Maybe he knows some secret I don't. But that's a pretty fast turnaround for productions. Maybe money does change the speed of things. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been trying to sow the seeds very carefully because all the work that we've done thus far, I've just been doing out of pocket, like getting an artist here, artist there, and just, doing that little initial contacts, and stretching that out as far as I can. But now that we've got, some development funds in front of us, I think we can go full steam. So,
all right. So let's go open this up to some questions. Feel free to ask questions in the comment section. We're going to start pulling them up right after Shaq B said, let's make it happen. All right. Any questions after that? I'm just going to read them out. And obviously we do have a delay, so we got to wait a couple of seconds. How far are we from a full-on anime series? Well, I'm going to give a short answer, and then Teunis is going to follow that up. So, J Noir, the answer is, first we have to do an animated pilot. After we do the animated pilot, we need to get it out there into the world. If we win a couple of awards, raising money for the full show should be really freaking easy, right? If we don't, then we have to show other ways that this is going to make a lot of money, mostly through internal community, stuff and just our normal sales and everything else. That's how we'll make that argument, right? But the main goal is hopefully we get a couple of awards under our belt. After we do that, we're going to raise the money for the full shows. Once the full show production, or at least half of that, is funded, we'll probably be in full hardcore production. And then Teunis, take it from there. What do you got to say?
Well, yeah, it all boils down to where we land on our production quality and what that budgetary price point looks like per episode. Once we know that, then we can really aggressively determine that schedule. So I would say from our development round, which is the money that was just raised, we're going to be able to produce that pilot, hopefully again by like mid to late summer. That pilot should garner a lot of interest, should get a lot of eyeballs, a lot of attention. And the goal at that point is to take that along with our pitch package and our, financial projections for investors and say, okay, we have to start then raising the money. And we're going to be doing that along the way anyway, like, because we're going to be building our deck, we're going to be building assets out, and as we go, we're going to still be approaching investment and looking at it from that point. But once we've got that, basically, then what your per budget, what your per episode budget's going to be, and then exactly how long each episode will take to produce. So we should be able to get, like, I think a 10 episode or 12 episode series up, I'd say roughly within 2 years. That's my hope. I mean, that's a little aggressive, but that's my hope.
And that's 2 years after it's funded, right? Not 2 years from now.
Yeah, 2 years after it's funded. So, and the thing about the funding too is we can approach it a lot of different ways. Like, we can approach it where we're going for the whole, like the whole series funding all at once, or we do it incrementally where we produce 4 episodes and then another 4 and another 4. The way streaming is these days, they want like the whole thing up front, like all 10, 12 episodes. But for our purposes, we may not even need to do that.
I'm a Friday night, Saturday morning type guy. I do not like that. I do not like that whole season in a binge watch. I hate that so much. I love when people argue to death about what's about to happen next episode because a cliffhanger happened, and now they got to sit there and fight to the death for a whole week talking about, I like that. I like that energy,
Right. And because we're planning on self-distribution as a really strong potential option, we can control that. So we could say, hey, we can fund 1 episode at a time. And that opens it up, because then you only have to raise, $250,000 or, $300,000 for that single episode. And you build out that 22-minute or that 44-minute or whatever the case might be. And we release it more in a incremental, like 1 week, 1 episode.
Hey, how do you feel about, and this just me brainstorming with you, how do you feel about it as if it was a regular, like a major network show? So in other words, most major networks, they do hour-long episodes, right? They do their hour-long episodes. They maybe do 8, right? They'll do like 8, like the entire season. But it allows like things to really get deep into the story, right? And you really like have a long time to close the situation out. Like sometimes you're following multiple different stories, but when the shit hits the fan, they usually have like an hour to an hour and a half where it's just one block of freaking ridiculousness, right? And it just stays in that one space. So I feel like the 30-minute episodes might not. We might want to go for the hour longs and just totally change the way anime is even shown. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, one thing that's really cool right now, and it's a new trend, and I kind of like it, is some of the multi-episode series that you find out on the streamers. They don't necessarily confine themselves to like like every episode's 22 or every episode is 44 or whatever the case might be. Now what they do is they allow it to flex to basically be the right length for the episode's like story arc. So if you need to do 1 episode that's 35 minutes, but then another one that's a full hour, to get the proper pacing and timing across, that's what you do nowadays. And because we're not confined to like a specific length, especially when we go that self-distribution route, we can make sure that the episode length serves the purpose of the story perfectly.
All right. So let's see the next part we're going to. Let's put this one up. Boom. So that's actually pretty dope. I didn't know I could do that. I'm gonna put it up here right here. Why did you decide for 3D? I know 2D can be expensive, but what was another reason? That's you, not me.
I think it has to do with just overall impact. I think we've been looking at a lot of creative targets out there, and there's a lot of stuff now out there in the game cinematic world where they have this like nice 2.5D, 3D feel, and they're able to get a lot of like really impactful visuals, especially in fight sequences. And when you're trying to like really sell scope and, just epicness, I find that, and I'm a big fan of 2D. I'm a huge fan of 2D anime, but I have seen some really nice hybrid approaches now, and they give you something that you get for free, which is from the camera and from some of the, the sets. You basically get a nice, how do I explain this? There's a creative and there's a budgetary reason for it. The creative side of it is that you can really get like good 3-dimensional camera to build out like a lot of your environments and a lot of your sets. And the financial side of it is that you amortize. So when you've built a set in 3D, you can shoot it from any angle you want and re-render it, and you just have that for free. Whereas if it was 2D, you'd have to redraw it over and over and over again.
Yeah. And one of the things we're really trying to capture is that more adultish feel to like fights, you know, and that's going to require slowdowns. That's going to require seeing things multiple different angles, because you're like, yo, how did that happen? You know, it's you're gonna see action very similar to what you see in Unlimited Blade Works. You know, in Unlimited Blade Works, when they're dueling, you know, there's so much going on. There's no way in hell they did that in 2D. It's impossible. They had to have done that in 3D in order to get those armor sliding knives going right over the shoulder as the next attack like goes off. So there's a reason for it, and we're definitely going to do the best. Remember, Teunis and most of the people that he's recruiting, right, have worked on the biggest freaking blockbusters in the U.S. You know, Bolt, freaking what was the other ones? You just name them off, because I can't even think of them right now.
Well, I've worked on Meet the Robinsons, Bolt. I've worked on a couple of films just in the last couple of years that are coming out on Netflix. On the live action side, on VFX, I worked on A Christmas Carol with Robert Zemeckis. I worked on Mars Needs Moms with Robert Zemeckis. Did a lot of Pixar shorts with the Pixar Canada. So like Air Mater's Tall Tales and, you know, some of the Toy Story tunes. So like small.
Oh, what about what's it called? How to Train Your Dragon 2, right?
Yeah, one of the guys on the team is from How to Train Your Dragon, How to Train Your Dragon 2.
Yep.
And he's modeled extensively for pretty much every Disney film. So Tangled, Frozen, you know, How to Train Your Dragon. Like he's been all over. He's up in Montreal right now.
That's what you need, man. That's what you need. So let's move on to the next question. Let's see. When did the pilot episode be released? I believe mid to late summer. I'm not sure about that one, but he says mid to late summer.
I got to be optimistic.
Let's see. Easy question. Will investors be able to get a copy of the pilot once completed? Absolutely. In fact, you get a private screening.
Yeah.
Yep, private screening. And you'll probably be seeing a lot of the little shorts that we're going to be doing, like on the production side as we're going. Investors and patrons, especially patrons, because patrons are the reason why we're going to be expanding our BSP app in the first place. All right, let's see what else we're going. Will the pilot be available in the public right away? This question right here, be available in the public right away? Absolutely not. We're not gonna just give this to people. We're going to amp it up so damn much that it's gonna be like a freaking it's gonna be like you know, just something that people have to see but can't see just yet. You know, and we'll have influencers talking about it. They're gonna have their own private screening, and they're gonna be like, man, I just can't believe this is gonna change the world. And you're gonna have that for like 2 weeks before the thing even drops, right? Because that's how you build a legend, right? Black Sand's supposed to be a legend. It's not supposed to be some new anime. It's supposed to be a legend. So that's what we're trying to do with that one. Let's see. All right, good question. Shaq B says, if animation is aged up, how will it affect the characters in the comics going forward? Absolutely no effect. Why? Because in the comic books, it's going to be slightly different story. All right, so I like to explain it the way this is like. Have you ever read The Boys? You know, The Boys is obviously an amazing show on Amazon Prime, right? But The Boys in the comics, you know, is a UK story. It's a story about some British people and all these things are going on over there. But because The Boys is made for an American audience, right? They said, let's scrap most of that European stuff, except for like the main protagonist guy. We'll keep him still having like a attitude, you know, a British dude. But for the most part, everybody else is American. The relationships changed. Some of the sequences that were the major plots, they still were somewhat the same, like, right? So they hit the same beats, but they were completely different because the audience was completely different. So what I'm looking at with Black Sands is the way we're edging it up is because we're going for a different audience, right? Whereas Black Sands for the comic books, you're buying it for your kids. Sometimes your kids are really young, right? I can't go crazy on that. But when we're talking about a freaking show that we're trying to change the game on, we're going to be having stuff that's very similar to like Attack on Titans on the feel of it, right? People are going to get laid out, and it's just the way it is. And because of that, we felt like it's more appropriate to age people up a bit. Any thoughts on that, Teunis?
Yeah, I think, just in terms of the tone and the action narrative, like things are going to be, when you're seeing some of the action and some of the consequences that the characters go through, you're just going to be like, whoa, your hair's going to go back because you're going to be a little shocked at some of the, like how serious they take it. It's kind of a little bit throwback-ish, to when, stories used to have more serious consequences. People that you cared about in a story, could get really hurt or really die. So it's the stakes are a little higher, and I think hopefully that really comes through in how the emotional impact of the story.
Yeah, absolutely. We're definitely gonna work on that expedition. Here's a question: where can we buy your comics? BlackSandsEntertainment.com. All right, BlackSandsEntertainment.com. That's where you can get our books. All right. Let's see. How did you two meet? Is there a place to find animators of your caliber? Probably not. The second question, probably not. He approached me on Instagram, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah.
And it was entirely because his wife was a fan. That's right. Right. It was like the chain of command went that way, So he said, "Hey, well, I'll just shoot a shot." Right. And he shot a shot in the DMs, and then I looked and I said, "Wow, that's a lot of crap he's done." Right. And that's the one thing I've always done. It's the reason why Rahman made my entire hip hop album, right? Because he sent me an email, right, with his agent on the thing, and he sent me a track that was right there, and I was like, all right, he has an agent, right? He's from this particular place. He has all these people on the credits. This might be a legit, right, song, so I'm gonna listen to it. And I hear it, I said, wow, it's an amazing song. 2 years later, he makes an entire freaking hip hop album for us. You know what I'm saying? So these are the kind of things that happen. I don't ignore messages, but sometimes people come and message me and with the craziest stuff. Like they'll have like a picture of like a hand-drawn chicken or something and say, yo, you looking for artists? I got you, man. I don't even know how to respond to that. You know what I'm saying? So he hit me straight in DMs. I saw it. I looked at the resume and I said, yo, that's kind of crazy. We talked for like months. And then we finally came up to a deal that we were going to have where we will be able to share some of the profits of the actual show. And it's a whole bunch of stuff that goes on in the actual way it works. But the bottom line is I get to keep all the control, right? And that's the best part about it. People always wonder, like, oh, man, you don't want to mess with the industry because they're going to take all your power away and they're going to take your licensing.
Well, I agree with.
I didn't lose a single bit of that in order to get this done, and I always feel if you're going to be working on a production for 2 to 3 years, you need to get paid too, and it can't just be a salary. It needs to be real in, because once we get this real production going, it's all he's doing is Black Sands and Maury's Family Adventures and Cosmic Girls. Like, that's his life. There's nothing else, and that's the way that we need to do stuff in order to make things done. Another thing is, because he's so good at what he does, I don't have to do jack. All I got to do is write the story and make sure the story is told the way I want it to be told. But I don't have to hire nobody. I don't have to freaking see when this thing is getting done or this milestone. See, when y'all talk about this summer, midsummer to late summer release, I'm gonna be sitting there just like the audience, like, oh snap, I want to see it. What's going on? Because I'm not gonna have anything to do with the productions. I'm gonna be chilling like this, the same like you guys, waiting for this show to drop so I can be freaking blown away. You know what I'm saying? So best believe, man, this is a strategic move, right? And this is how we met, was through Instagram. He just DM'd me. A lot of people DM me. A lot of people have talked to me. A lot of people have worked with me through Instagram DMs. So shoot those DMs if you really got something to say. Let's see. Let's keep going down. All right. So let's see. Somehow I skipped a ridiculous amount of comments. All right, there we go. Okay. How do you plan to distribute the series? All right. Oh, and I'm skipping a question. This is the same question, basically. All right. So, so do you foresee a pitch to Netflix, HBO, and how do you plan to distribute the series? Both questions are basically the same, so we're going to answer them at the same time. Teunis, go.
Yeah, basically, it's really all going to boil down to what is financially the best decision and what serves the audience the best. And right now, the way we've been looking at it is we see that we're probably going to do a self-distribution model, like basically, by virtue of Black Sands Publishing, which is the app that we're developing. The idea is to basically distribute the content directly to, this audience that Manuel's built over time. And as we bring more and more creators into the fold, that's going to be a curated content hub where basically this type of content is all going to be available in a single spot where you can get it all, like at that one location. And basically the whole idea there is that with distributors, really all they bring to the table is bringing an audience, like eyeballs to your your project. And in this case, I feel that there's enough of a momentum that's been built up through what's been going on with Black Sands that we can basically build that audience out. So the goal for us is probably to self-distribute, because when you do go to outside distributors, depending on your leverage, they take quite a bit away. So for instance, I just worked on a project where, we had a budget of roughly $33 million. That project got sold to Netflix. And Netflix basically pays about 10% over your production costs, but they take the IP. So what that means is now Netflix owns that intellectual property. Any licensing and merchandising that you can grow off of that brand, they own it. They own it completely. So the creator, like the people who made the thing in the first place, they basically, all they've gotten for their labor is 10% above cost. Which, if you've got yourself invested in the stock market or even like a 401k, you could probably do better than that. So, why would you be in that business? So for us, the goal is, really Manuel, and this is something that I wholeheartedly agree with and respect. He's going to maintain all the equity within Black Sands and within the community. So all profits that come off of licensing and merchandising as this brand blows up and becomes a cultural phenomenon, all of that profit is going to go back to Black Sands Entertainment. It's all going to go back into the community and all the investors. So really the goal is to self-distribute. And it's kind of a long game, because you can take that short money. You can go to like a distributor and take those fees. But I could tell you that the profit margins in those things, it's not that strong. And because they've got that leverage, like they can say, hey, we can finance your show. We'll give you a distribution advance. Like we'll basically say, oh, we're going to buy that show from you for $10 million. We'll cash flow you. We'll get you going. But at the end of the day, the terms of the deal for the producer, like the people who bring the project and the initial IP to the table, it stinks. They basically give you 10% above cost, but they walk away with your baby. They walk away with your intellectual property, and any kind of, money that might be made off of, selling merchandise or, branding and games, etc. That's all theirs. So they end up taking all that with them. So for Black Sands, and this is so critical for this brand, is to really maintain control over the creative and maintain control over that licensing and merchandising, which is what, we're going to make sure happens for Black Sands Entertainment.
Okay. I got a really cool question for you. Shakri says, what are your current favorite animations and why?
Ooh, current. That's tough. Like currently, there hasn't been a lot of things like in recent times that I gravitate too heavily towards. I'm more attracted to a lot of the classics. So for me, like I really love the original Ghost in the Shell. I really loved Attack on Titan, which Manuel turned me on to. I really quite enjoyed Iron Giant when that was out back in the day.
Iron Giant, yeah.
Yeah, so like those are my favorites. I can't say the only current crop that I've really enjoyed is some of the things that I've seen on Netflix on Love, Death, and Robots.
Robots, yeah.
Yeah, and
versions of stuff.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of stuff that's going on in the gaming community, like especially with cinematics. So I've been really attracted to. There's a series that's being produced by Riot Games called Arcane, and that looks really cool. I love the look of that.
Yeah.
I didn't hear you.
All right. I think we cleared it up. It's some you got some ghost in your house, man.
Oh no.
You got some ghost in your house. All right. So one thing I want to tell people is I'm shooting for visuals from Warcraft. Okay. So you know all those visuals you see in World of Warcraft when you see those cutscenes, I'm looking for that look. If it don't have that look, I don't want it. All right. So that's what we're shooting for. We're shooting for freaking World of Warcraft 2019 and above animations, because that stuff is real. It feels gritty. It still has that cartoon feel to it, but it's gritty. You know, you can really feel like you feel those blows going on. You know what I mean? Now let's see what's going on here. Let's see. All right, so this is more of a software question. What software do you use? Why?
Yeah. Well, traditionally, I've pretty much stuck with most of the sort of industry standard products that are out there. So a lot of the pipelines that I've worked on, we've been primarily Maya based. We've also used Katana for lighting in our back end and for look development. But that being said, and your question is really quite to the point, I have been looking at game engines. So I'm looking at Unreal, I'm looking at Unity, and I'm trying to see what kind of benefits I can get out of working through game engines, because I know, I've seen some really great stuff being produced utilizing those tools. You can't use them exclusively, but you could use them in concert with some of these other tools. So, but yeah, primarily Maya. That's been like the sort of bread and butter for me for a long time.
Okay, let's see what else we got here. Let's see. How many people on the team right now, currently?
Right now, we've got about 4. So we've got an editor working with us. We've got a storyboard artist working with us. And we've got a modeler, actually two modelers working with us right now. So that's the size of the team at the moment. But we're going to be expanding, obviously. So we've been kind of slowly building some assets. We started getting going on Osar, and now I'm going to get that team going on Raat. He's our next guy in the fold, and then the editor and the storyboard artist been working together initially on a teaser, but now we're kind of migrating over to the short. So I've got that storyboard artist. He's working out the beats on the short that Manuel wrote, and we're about to dive into that. So we're fleshing that out. And right now, we also have to start looking around at expanding into the other 2 properties. So we got to get Maury's Family Adventures rolling, and we've got to get Cosmic Girls rolling too.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Raheem says, how can investors continue to invest and grow our shares as Black Sands continues to grow? Well, there will be another round. The round won't be for the films, but there will be for the application. So once we have a really successful launch of the application, probably in December, we're going to be looking to push that even further next year. So you'll be able to invest there. Investing in the application is actually investing in the main company, Black Sands Entertainment, right? And we have a majority stake in everything going on with the films. So you're basically pushing your shares even further with that. That should be around next summer, right? So I wouldn't look too much into it. However, if you want to help us get more talent, I advise that everyone who is an investor or planning on being an investor next time, because they just missed it, because it was a really fast campaign. It's like 3 weeks. People didn't get a chance to get in. Become a patron. Just become a patron. Go to patreon.com/Black Sands, and join the $20 tier. There, you're going to get all of our comic books on day one. But on top of that, you're also going to help us buy out other creators in this game. All right. There's a lot of comic books out there that are amazing in the Black community, right? But nobody wants to give up their stuff, especially not to a new platform. So what we got to do is we got to come with leverage. Most of the time, leverage is cash. So we're using that to do that. I know people say, well, you just raised $500,000. Why don't you use that money? Because that's how we got to make the app and the animations. You know, and we might be short on that. I'm dead serious. We might be short on that because this is just a really high-end stuff that we're doing, right? So I always say, always have more than one way to handle things. Our Patreon is exclusively to acquire talent. Get that talent in, and as those people sign the dotted line to come on onto our platform, you're going to get their digital content immediately as a patron. And then afterwards, once we format everything and get it on BSP, everybody will be able to get it. Whoever wants to download the app will be able to get that stuff. By the way, the app is going to be free too. So there's not going to be no barriers to actually being able to use the app. The only difference is instead of something like Webtoons, where basically all the comic books are available immediately, you're going to have to earn them through engagement, you know, do stuff, you know, but that's fine, right? At least is a way to go and get people to stay active, be a part of a community, and talk. You know, no one likes the fact that in Comixology, you buy a comic book and then you don't speak to nobody, you don't know the creator, you don't know. It's like a very impersonal thing. Like it's like a very isolated incident. So, you know, that's our vision with that. Let's see. Why didn't you guys go to Netflix, or did you? I believe we already answered that question as far as distribution is concerned. We don't want a bad deal, so we're not gonna. So that's what we're doing. That. How do investors see a return? Very easy answer. After the first season of Black Sands comes out and actually airs, we're probably going to go public. Should be about a Series B. We should be in our Series B round, and at that time, we're probably gonna go public. With that much momentum behind us, with a great show that just got released, a lot of traction, a lot of licensing and merchandising sales, that's when you go public. And when you do go public, right, all those shares value becomes real. And if you want to sell your shares at that point, go right ahead. I'm sure people are going to buy them from you at ridiculous rates. You know, right now you bought shares at $1. I guarantee you, if we hit everything right and we get to that point where we have our first season out and we kill it, he said, we're going to be buying your shares for at least $15, $20 per share, because that's just the demand that's going to be. It might be worse than that. You never know what happens. Sometimes companies go public and their value goes up by like 40 times their normal value overnight because of just the shark mode of everybody getting into there. So that's the return, right? Make sure we hit our marks. We keep releasing on time, blowing people away. And I guarantee you, if in like 3 years or something like that, we decide to go public, it's going to blow up for everybody.
Yeah.
Let's see. Since we'll be doing a 5-minute short, can we consider doing 1 or 2 minute trailer? Teunis.
Yeah. In all likelihood, yes.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, in all likelihood, yeah. Like we obviously, because we want to generate interest around the property, and that 1 or 2 minute trailer would be something that we do release publicly. Mm-hmm. And then the short would be something that we run in the festival circuit and, you know, privately to our investors. And, you know, obviously when the BSP app comes out, that will be available to, you know, that special tier.
Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking about, because I don't want nobody recording my stuff.
Yeah.
I'll probably go and rent out a freaking a theater or something like that, so we can have a little event in New York, right? And all the investors can come out if they feel like it and see it personally, and we'll also live stream it from an angle, right? I don't want it getting out though, you know, so it has to be like a grainy version of the video. You know, because I just don't want it to get out. I don't want it to get out. I want to make sure that it's really exclusive for our investors, but it can't be downloaded and sent out to anyone else. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna protect the hell out of this bad boy, because we gotta dominate. So it's for the best for everybody if we keep it hush hush. Let's see. All right, let's see. I missed a whole bunch of crap. When does part 2 of the DVD come out? No time soon. It's gonna be on the app. So all those episodes you saw, the web comics and all the other things, it's gonna be on the app. So I would just wait for the app to be developed, and that's where you're gonna see all that stuff. You don't have to worry about buying DVDs anymore. You can just straight up download the app. Let's see what we got here. Are you looking for any writers? Not yet, but doesn't mean we won't be looking for any writers. We're already looking for entire teams, but on top of that, we're gonna be doing competitions. So we're gonna do competitions with the community. One of the competitions is going to be a side story competition. Basically, we're gonna let people submit, short stories in the Black Sands universe, and then we're gonna pick the top 6, right? And then we're gonna let them expand on that, and it'll become official lore in Black Sands. Because why not, right? Mm. I think of it this way, right? I've already established myself enough as the guy who does ancient Egypt, right? So I don't think nobody's gonna steal my swagger at this point. I'm the guy who does that. So I don't think I have to overly protect my IP as much, because everybody already knows that Black Sands is Black Sands, and I want to start allowing the community to start really building on the thing, simple, just like Dungeons and Dragons, like the whole Baldur's Gate universe and stuff like that. They didn't care if people started making stuff up for that stuff. They didn't care. It's actually part of the design. So there's no reason why we can't have the same kind of community here. And coolest thing is, since I'm a publisher, that stuff will become official canon and actually go into a book and get published. Dope. Let's see. Here's a technical question. What are your thoughts on toon shaded 3D or 3D anime?
I like it a lot, and I've seen some really good applications of it. So, when, like I was saying earlier, if you go online and look at Arcane, which is that new series that's being based on some of the stuff that Riot Games has put forward, they're producing some really nice looking stuff, and there's a studio out in France called Fortiche that's doing that stuff, and I think it's a nice look because you basically are able to merge the 3D with like 2D effects, animation, and a lot of like matte paintings and and other elements that they all gel together really nicely in the visuals. So some of that stuff is really attractive. I love it.
Gotcha. All right, so let's see. All right, what do you mean by buying out other creators? You mean you own the IP, no partnerships? I mean, I own their digital distribution rights. All right, I don't own their IP. They have their IP. They own it for life. I own their distribution rights for digital content. That means that Comixology can't show their stuff. Webtoons can't show their stuff. The reason for that is very simple. If I put money into advertising for you, I don't want anybody else benefiting from my money. You understand what I'm saying? It's just a very simple rule. I'm advertising for someone. I'm going to get all the benefits from that advertisement dollar. It's me and them. It's not going to be anybody else. It's somebody else. So that's why we have the exclusivity clause. That's what we're going to be doing with a lot of the creators. And it's going to be pretty successful. I guarantee it, because that's what we're going to do. We're going to basically finally give Black creators and Latin creators a place where they can put stuff up and the algorithm won't instantly destroy them, right? Because the bottom line is white people outnumber Black people. Nothing you can do about that. That's the algorithm says this got more likes. Nothing you can do about that. It just got more likes because it's more people do like it. You know what I'm saying? So in order to even compete at all, you gotta have a different system, and they don't want to change their system. They're stuck in their ways. They're already baked. The cake is baked. They can't do nothing about it now. This is how their business operates. That's why Black Sands Publishing will most likely have a lot of success, because our competitors don't want to compete in that space. They just don't value that customer base. Let's see. Here's a question that's kind of like a follow-up to that. What's the difference between your company and Webtoons? Does Webtoons get bad deals as well? No, their deals are actually pretty damn good. The problem is their deals go to like one genre, which is romance, girls romance. All right, they're one of those things that's like baked in too. You know, like their algorithms all point to girls romance. So if you have even the slightest hint of girls romancing your stuff, you're gonna get like 20 times more likes than if you did an action adventure series or something like that. And it's baked in. Their audience is female, and they like, hey, I can't change that, so I'm just gonna post that. And their deals are amazing. Their deals are freaking amazing. But you can't use the deals because most people can't get those deals unless they're writing about female romances. So there's a reason why, you know, we can compete with them. It's mostly because they're so stuck. Their model is so stuck in that specific customer, right? They can't get out. So that's why we're gonna have that success. Now let's see. Let's see if we got any more questions about production. We're about to close it out too. So in about 5 minutes, see, we're almost at an hour right now. So at an hour, we're done. Do you have auditions for jobs writers and voice actors? Not yet. Eventually we will, but not right now. Especially with the budget being so tight, we have no room to experiment. You know, so we're gonna be closing out people that we know can get the job done. You know, and it's just the way it is right now. You know, next round, once we get to the bigger funding and we're actually trying to build a big ass team, that's when you know we're gonna be asking for resumes and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Advan says, are you able to pass your shares to your children? Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, I have no clue how the hell the SEC works, but I'd assume that you can, because we have rules where you can't sell your shares to random people. You have to ask us who you can sell your shares to. But if you said, hey, I'm giving it to my son, I'm like, great. And I'm going to let that happen because that's what you should be doing. You should be getting this for a legacy or something like that. So, yeah, absolutely. If you want to give it to your kids, you want to give it to your spouse, you want to give it to family, I don't care about that. That is 100% fine. All right? But don't be giving it to Harvey Weinstein or something. Then I'm going to have to stop you. Let's see here. Do you see Black Sands video game in the near future? Do you see a Black Sands video game in the near future? Yeah, sure. Why not? You know, I would have to have the same exact miracle scenario as this is right here, where basically somebody is handling the entire development of video games with only my minimal amount of work in the actual production. Right? That's the only way it's going to happen. Because even with this animation, if I had to do a large amount of the work, I probably wouldn't be able to do it. You know, so that's why he's almost autonomous when it comes to the production of this thing. I just can't be involved in that. I got to run a big ass company. I got to recruit people. I got to do marketing and branding of all that stuff. I got to do all these contracts and negotiations. I ain't got time. You know, so if a video game does come, it'll become because the entire studio is ready to go. You know what I mean? Let's see. Have you chosen a development team for BSP yet? Nope. We're shopping it around. We're probably going to get a couple of tests done, right? And then we're going to close down on somebody. But we haven't locked that down yet. Do I have Seth shirts? Let's see. Do you have Seth shirts, adult large? Nope, but we got XL and medium. I think. Do we? I think so. Yeah, XL and medium. The shirts run a little big, so so a medium is probably a large. Let's see what else. Teunis, last words. What do you want to say?
I'm trying to think. There was something that came up regarding Hollywood, and I see some of the comments, and I just couldn't agree with you more. Like when it comes to Hollywood, like Hollywood it's a rigged game. It's a bad system, especially for independent creators. And for us, like, Manuel and I talked about this a lot. Like, we're not trying to get a seat at that table. We're trying to, like, what we're doing here, like what Manuel's doing is making his own table. So we're making the table, and it's a whole new environment, a whole new community. Like, what I see in the future is BSP just being such a big, curator of content. There's going to be so many different content creators in that space, and it's going to be like a wildfire. This is what I see coming.
Yeah, I feel it too, and it's like we've done it right. I mean, this round proves it, that we could just get the Black community behind something. I mean, that's a lot. That's like 500 investors a week we averaged, when we did this round, and they still coming in, even though we can't even give them any more shares. But I try to tell people, I'm like, yo, the round's over. But because it's still open a bit, they still let people invest in. We're still #1 trending company on the damn platform, and our campaign's closed. So it just shows the amount of commitment and excitement in the Black community, because the reality is this, right? Hollywood would never get me the deal, right? I know people say, hey, you can go to Netflix and everything else, but 35 years have gone by and they haven't done a single story about African history anywhere in any space, whether it was a show, whether it was a TV series, whether it was an animation. They haven't done it. 35 years. And it's crazy to think that they haven't done any, considering that they've done like 10 Native American ones. So it's like Native Americans are like less than 1% of the entire population, right? But they got 10 films, and then 16% of the population got 0. You know what I'm saying? They love stories about us in chains and slavery and civil rights. Oh, look at us. We're begging for a seat at the table, right? Everybody's begging. Oh, look at me. Please let me vote. Please let me go to work at the same place. Please let me sit in front of the goddamn bus. Who cares? How about please get the fuck out of my country because I'm a king? What about that? What about that? Why can't we do that? Why can't a king just go and kick somebody the hell out? Say, okay, you want to come to my country? How about we just execute everybody? I want to see that story. Story happened a whole bunch of times during our history, and yet we can't seem to see a single one of those. I can watch freaking William Wallace 17 different ways, but I can't watch one story about Mansa Musa. I can't watch one. So you know what? That's what we're here for. We're here to stop the blockade. I said Teunis was the best possible way to get that done the right way. You see, I could have made something like the Black Sands Hidden Colors, right? Where it's basically a low-budget docu-series about ancient Egypt, right? I could have done that. But what I'm trying to do is screw the whole game up, because if we come out with this thing and it looks like freaking Warcraft CGI, right? It looks like Warcraft CGI, but it's an entire season of this stuff. We're going to freaking ruin the entire way people even think about animation. They're going to be like, what the hell happened? What is this show? How could they have possibly done this outside of Hollywood? How did they do this? It's impossible. This is no way they did this. And I'm going to be like, well, the hell it isn't. We did it ourselves, and now we're going to do it again with other shows because we've proven that it could be done. And that's just my mission on this. My mission is to stop the blockade. It's a fucking blockade. It's like an embargo. It's like they're saying no content about African history. That is not beneficial to our agenda. So I'm out here breaking the mold.
Yeah, that's the truth. And it's a steamroller, and all the investors are proof positive of that. Like it's a really amazing thing. And it's just people are just gonna watch out. This is going to steamroll.
Oh, and this last question I'm going to take just because it's a good question, right? How do you go about the process of trusting your baby, i.e. your IP, in another artist's hands and stepping back to do other things? Recruit well and give great contracts. That's the real answer to it. You recruit well, right? You find people who are significantly better at what the hell their job is than you will ever be, right? And having a great contract that protects you. This is the way it is. You have a great contract, you have this, you better have a damn good lawyer, right? If you do all that, you shouldn't have anything to worry about, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what this is. We are partners in this. So Teunis is a partner in our studio. He is the head of the studio. He's building that out. If it works well, we'll probably extend everything out on the contract side, and the studio will get bigger and bigger and bigger. And who knows? We might be working on 10 films at the same time. Who knows what the hell's going on, right? But the whole point is we're breaking the mold. And I know people say, hey, go to Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry don't make stuff like this. He never has. He doesn't even support stuff like this. It's just not him. It's all good. He does his thing. He can do whatever he wants. But, you know, people always come at me with, hey, go to Netflix, go to Tyler Perry, go to this, go to that. I'm waiting for somebody to say, go to somebody who actually does the thing that you're doing, right? And see what they say. Like for me, a great partner would be Crunchyroll. You know, because they are the end all when it comes to anime. So I have no problem doing a distribution deal with them, you know, because they are a good prospect for a massive audience of super fans, you know. But other people go to Tyler Perry. What is he going to offer me? You know, go to Netflix. What the hell are they going to offer me? They're not even interested in merchandise. You know, anime is all about merchandise. They ain't even interested in merchandise. All they want to do is get more freaking views. You know, so just be honest with you guys.
Creative control.
Yeah.
Yep.
That too. They love creative control. All these people that I just named love creative control. They cannot deal with you having ideas at all. Yeah. Right? I don't care if it was your story. We're going to change it up. So, yeah, that's what's up. This has been a great discussion with the community. It's the first time you guys got to dive in and dig into who the heck Teunis is, what his expertise is, and what's his plan. All right. He says midsummer to late summer. I'm gonna be just as shocked as you when it happens. All right. So I'm not even gonna hold him to that. He's gonna hold himself to that, but I'm not gonna hold because I don't see it. I mean, it's almost March. It's almost March. That's like 4 to 5 months away. Oh well, yeah. We'll see. We'll see. If you believe, I tell you what, if you don't believe that he'll make it in that time, join the Patreon. All right, help us get some people in here. And if you do believe, still join the Patreon. All right. Yeah. Oh yeah. My wife said do the Patreon. So here's the link: patreon.com/blacksands. Join our army. Okay. All right, join our army because we're trying to get all those creators that you love, like Tuskegee Airs, like freaking Gray and all them other Black, Black as fuck. We got to get all those bad boys in here. So how we gonna do that? We got to have leverage, and leverage comes with power. So that's why we raised this money so we could show people that we could do it and they can't. Now we got to show that we have a stream of income besides our simple sales of books, right? But also a community is just there waiting for new content. Once we show that we got all these three things going on at the same time, they're going to think we're unstoppable. And they're going to be like, you know what? I know that I love my bad boy and I don't want to freaking give my distribution rights, but they really are growing exponentially. And I just want to be a part of that. And if I can get them over, they're going to have the best time of their lives with their content and new audiences. And we're going to freaking dominate this industry. We're just going to show up one day at New York Comic-Con and take up like freaking 8 booths. And it's going to be all BSP. And they're going to be like, what the hell happened here? They'll be like, well, everybody wanted to ignore us. We're good now, though. We're taking the whole booth, the whole area.
Absolutely.
Well, I'll see y'all later. And thank you so much, Teunis, for joining us tonight. I'll probably bring some other people in this week. I like this format, this whole like format for interviews. I love this damn thing. I'm probably gonna bring who am I gonna bring in next? Probably Mike Tony Designs, because we were talking about some things about card games. So I think that'll be a pretty interesting conversation for those who like card games. All right, Black Sands out. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thank you all.